Welcome everybody to Spirituality Adventures. This is a first Friday release, and this is our first Friday in March. And aren't we glad in Kansas City that we got out of that huge cold snap and we're into some sunshine and into some springtime and looking forward to getting outdoors. And I hope all of you love to get outdoors. And this spring First Friday thing I wanted to do on the trails of KC. So we are excited to have Ben Bolin with us today on Spirituality Adventures. Ben has been a longtime friend of mine, a mountain biking buddy, a gravel buddy. We have done Dirty Kanza together. We've done mountain bike trips together. I'm going to let Ben introduce himself and tell you about when we first met. And then we'll jump into some of the trail stuff that we want to talk about.
Well, my name is Ben Bolin. I've got to know Fred, what has it been, 10 years at least?
I think so.
No more. Buddy, our friend Scott invited us on a trip to Sedona, Arizona, and we were on the plane. And I said, "Hey, what's Fred do?" And Scott said, "Oh, he's a pastor." I said, "Really?" and I was like, boy, I'm thinking in my head, boy, we're not gonna have a whole lot of fun on this trip. Usually we drink beer and sit in a hot tub. And
for those of you who don't know, pastors are considered not much fun to go traveling with, all right? Just so you know, especially a mountain bike dude.
Right, exactly. So, not my usual suspects that I roll with on single track trails. And so I'm thinking, so we got out there and got our bikes put together and got on a ride right away, didn't we? First day usually did, and
First day.
Yeah, and we hit some trail, and I have no idea what Fred's abilities were or weren't. And
at the time weren't.
At the time weren't.
We could have stuck to the road, I'd been fine.
We'd been fine, right? Exactly.
This is my new mountain bike adventure.
So yeah, we were going down, being cautious. I'd never ridden Arizona before. I think I'd once before, and and all of a sudden I hear a tumble and then a bunch of things I shouldn't say on camera, and I kind of turned around and said, "Fred, you okay?" And he's still grumbling up there, and I turn around and they get up to him, and he's looking at me, and he says, "I suppose you've never heard a pastor cuss." I said, "Can't say I have." And that was kind of Fred and I's bonding experience. Yeah. That's when
we had a blast that weekend, by the way.
We did. Right? We did. We had a great time ever since. And so that kind of broke
I tore myself up.
Oh, you did?
I tumbled down a cliff-like thing into cacti. And I mean, I was bleeding all over. We had to cinch a thing. I had to get stitches that night. It was crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah. I drove across town to somebody that we all knew. The three of us didn't know we knew him, and then we all knew him. And Fred's dad was good friends with his dad, and he knew him from growing up. And Scott and I knew him from church, and we all were like, "No way, we all know this guy." And we're going to their house, so they invite us over for pizza. Fred gets stitched up on their dining room table, and ever since then we've we keep each other in stitches.
There we go. Been friends. So.
Yep.
Yeah. So Ben knows a lot about the trails in Kansas City, and I wanted him to talk a little bit about the history of the trails in Kansas City first, because a lot of people don't realize it. But Kansas City is a little hidden gem in the United States in terms of the numbers of miles of dirt track trails that we have here for people to enjoy. So Ben, why don't you give us a little history of some of the trails here?
I'm not one of the original guys. We still work with a lot of the original guys. Yeil Schauer is one of our original Earth Riders, is the mountain bike club that we have. I got involved, I don't know, I guess 6 years after they had started. Late 90s, early 2000s was once they started gaining traction. People were riding goat trails or deer tracks out in the woods out here. And now you can see they're obviously very nice trails, well maintained. But back then, mountain biking was a whole different thing. It was kind of a real niche sport, and it still kind of is, but it was more niche back then. Guys that wanted to get out and ride trails. And so a group of them got together, formed a mountain bike club, started buying mountain bikes, and then we got to have some place to ride. So they kind of got on board. They created a nonprofit called Earth Riders Trail Association, which was a nonprofit, no members. And then the club members were the guys that kind of did the trails, and that kind of paralleled itself all the way through. The club was a social group, and the Trail Association was the entity that provided trails or would get MOUs for trail work. So they started lobbying. Clay County was one of the first, Smithville Lake Trails. Clay County, Neil and Stan Gaskell, some of the other Earth Riders went to a bunch of meeting after meeting saying, yeah, we're not just a bunch of Mountain Dew drinking hoodlums riding bikes out here. We'll actually take care of trails and give you free trails if you let us get access to this. So that was one of the first locations. Landau Park over in was it Blue Springs area, I guess. That was
Blue Springs.
And then that was another one of the major ones. Used to be a motocross site out there. They shut it down for motocross, and then the mountain bikers went out and lobbied to get in there on Jackson County. And then it's worked its way through all the counties here. Shawnee Mission Park was, I think, on board where with Sean Cairns. He's one of the original guys as well. Got Johnson County to go on with Shawnee Mission Park trails. And so it's all been a grassroots type of, hey, can we get access to land? A lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh, well, it's on county land. We're at Wyandotte County Park here. Right. Wyandotte County lets us have access to this land to build these trails and maintain. They don't pay anything to us. They don't provide us tools. They don't, all they do is give us access and say, yes, you can have access to our land, take care of it. We trust that you will. And we've built trust over, the last 2 decades of building trails in Kansas City. And now we're up to about 200, I think it's over 200 miles is what they figure within an hour of the surrounding area. From downtown, if you drive within an hour, you'll end up with about 200 miles of trails. So, and that's kind of a brief history, but that's the biggest thing that most people don't realize is that it's all volunteer based. It's all volunteer built. The URTA has now evolved into Urban Trail Company. It's still the nonprofit, but we wanted to separate the Earth Riders Mountain Bike Club social piece of it with the legal, non-club member aspect of it, and fundraising piece, because that's where all the nonprofit funds go, is to Urban Trail Company. They buy tools. We have quite a few bigger companies that donate every year to us. We hold fundraisers every year, typically to get tool trails, whether it's string trimmer, flags to flag trails, tool, just dirt axes, trail hose. I don't know. There's lots of stuff that we use. We have a Casey Bobcat. They give us equipment to borrow for free, which is nice. So we've got a lot of sponsorships like that, and it's really truly a grassroots effort that's still in play with it. And so when you think of trails here, like I said, most trail users have no idea that it's completely 100% volunteer built. And so there's Urban Trail Company. You can find them on Facebook, find them on the Urban Trail Code, I believe it's a .com. And then as well as Earth Riders is still around, and we're the social aspect. So you want to come out and ride mountain bikes? We host monthly. Well, with COVID, we've hosted nothing. But previously, we would have a month ride. We would have a ride at try to host every trail system in Kansas City, and they do a monthly meetup. And then that's a way for new people to get together, old guys that have been around forever get together, combine the two, and to do all of that together. So that's been the typical thing that we've done with all of this. And so it's like I said, we have that social aspect and we have the trail aspect of that. So, and that's kind of where it's evolved from. So, yep.
That's awesome. We are right now at Chupacabra out at Wyandotte County Lake, and so this is one trail system in the whole Kansas City area. And a lot of people don't realize it, but when you just start comparing other large cities in America to Kansas City actually has some of the biggest trail mileage for a metropolitan area in the United States, is what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, other places are catching up to us, but right. Initially we have been, and we're still fairly high for a urban trails, right? Exactly.
So literally there's 200 miles of trails for people to enjoy. And if any of you have been out here and enjoyed the trails, one of the things I wanted to do was first make you aware of all the trails that you have access to. And Ben mentioned a website, and I want to mention the app. Yep. It's called a Rain Out app, or Rain Out Line.
Rain Out Line, yes, correct.
Go to the Apple, whatever app store you go to, Rain Out Line. download it, and then that will have all of the trails that Ben's talking about that are worked on in the greater Kansas City area.
Correct. And that's for the weather-related conditions.
Right. So it has a stop sign, basically,
Right.
if it's too muddy to walk on or too muddy to ride your bike.
Yep.
We don't like it when people walk and ride their bikes in the mud because it tears up the trails, okay?
And
so
we
when
have
they're
to come back and clean it up.
fix 'em.
Right,
Fix 'em.
exactly. So.
And so you can go there, and then it'll have a green sign if it's open, and it's solid to ride on. But I wanted you to go into, you mentioned tools and stuff, but I mean, like, how many guys and gals are working on all this 200 miles of trails all over Kansas City right now, do you think? If you just took a guess.
I didn't pull, I guess if you figure, I know the size of crew that we have at Smithville and Hodge Park, you're looking at 10 to 15 per trail system. They're probably the core component of it. They're people that consistently show up. And then if we host trail work days, you'll end up with 20 to 30, depending on what's going on and how our information is. So you do that times at least 10 different trail systems. There's probably more than that, right? Exactly. Yeah. But okay, you say 15.
Yeah.
So you're looking, there's a good amount. And then you have a lot of people that just come out. They will participate in a work day here and there. So we have hundreds of volunteers that show up. And then, like I said, there's always the core components. This looks great now. In the summer, this all grows in. You'll find a whole group that goes out, and guys just grab a trimmer, whether they're an URTA or a UTC trimmer or whether we own our own. A lot of us own our own equipment. I've got 3 trimmers in my garage, and I loan them out to whoever wants to volunteer and go hit the poison ivy or whatever. And in the summers, we actually trim our trails. A lot of systems don't do that. It's a lot of work, but the riding is awesome here. The trails are spectacular. You go other places. I'm a little biased because I've put a lot of hours into them, and I love the trail systems here. Love the woods. The Sedona is great. Love the desert and whatever. But I love the odds of hitting a tree and going down, the shade in the summer, the fall, the change of season. I don't know. That's
and then our snow ride that we just did.
And our snow rides, right?
15 degrees together on the snow a few weeks ago.
Some people, weren't you out at like 2 or something?
I set a record for myself. I was at -1 on one of my rides, yeah. Crazy.
So depending on conditions, that's the only caveat to Kansas City trails is they're a little more finicky. Sedona, you can kind of ride whenever. Right. California, Colorado is pretty much anything that's got a rocky base. Arkansas is 3.5 hours. Got a huge set of trails down there. Still love the trails here. They're great. But it's kind of this kind of our only Achilles heel is rain and moisture, because of our dirt type. The soil types are what cause that.
So Ben was the president of Earth Riders for
3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years, and he's been working on these trails for like 2 decades, as he mentioned, and so he knows a lot of people. He knows so many people. We never go anywhere where Ben doesn't know somebody. It's fun.
I don't know. Everybody seems to know you too.
I know a few too. Anyway, between the two of us, we know everybody. No, anyway, the tell people some of the names of the locate. Like we're at Wyandotte County Lake. Smithville Lake.
So
just name some of the top spots.
So some of the top,
city.
Wyandotte County Lake. We said Shawnee Mission Park. Shawnee Mission Park's one of the originals as well. Or Shawnee Mission Park, and then Smithville Lake, which is up east of Smithville a little ways. That's kind of the 2 broad spectrums. We got Wyandotte County Lake out here. We've got some new ones over in Kansas. Lexington Lake Park out there is a new one. It's 6 or 7 miles, I think, right now. We always start out small. It takes a long time to build a mile of trail. Then we've got downtown. We've got Swope Park, in the heart of Kansas City, and Swope Park, and then we've got Blue River Park, which those 2 trail systems are almost ready, which is exciting. 10 years ago, we thought, we'll just throw them together. Obviously, it hasn't happened because there's a lot of work to be done between land issues and honeysuckle, which is what we're standing in here. It's a invasive species that we have to clear. Swope Park, but they're going to connect together, and we're going to have over 50 miles of single track connected within Kansas City proper,
That's
which is
crazy.
really cool. So
amazing.
it's an amazing thing to do that. And so you can ride all of Blue River Park and all of Swope, and you're going to have 50 plus miles of single track to ride. And then you go out east, you got the Proving Grounds, which is a new one out.
Haven't been there.
That's in Lee's Summit area. The Proving Grounds,
Landau.
the Landau, exactly. Then we have in Liberty, we have
Stockdale.
Stockdale Park. Yep, and then Hodge just to the west of there. Hodge Park is only a couple miles from my house. We've got 6-7 miles. And that's kind of the core.
Do you count the river trails out in Lawrence, or is that
they
too
are.
far
They
out?
kind of. I mean, they're not part of UTC, but they're
Okay.
part of that hour circle. So if you do an hour circle from downtown, they're part of that. A very popular, great place to get out if you've never ridden mountain bikes before.
Great beginner spot.
Take your kids out there. I mean, a lot of Kansas City single track is really pretty beginner friendly. Landau and Swope are probably the two most technical in the area. Actually, Shawnee Mission Park's got a couple really doozies out there too. It's because of the terrain and the use they get. They get a lot of rock eruptions that come out, and so they can be a little rough when you first start going.
So, just quickly, and then I kind of want to kind of wrap this up a little bit. But like, I've been thoroughly impressed with the work that goes into these trails and how much work. It's any given weekend.
Oh yeah.
If weather permitting, there's going to be crews out working on the trails, and these guys and gals are super dedicated. They're putting ramps in at times.
Yep, in some places.
They're putting drainage in. They're clearing places.
Right.
They're putting rock in.
Yep.
I mean,
and it's all manual labor. We don't use a whole lot of equipment. It's all, it's just that's what we have. It's available. Storing equipment's always tough because you got to keep it someplace. You got to insure it. You got to have, coverage, insurance coverage, trailers. We've had equipment get stolen in a place we thought was secure, and somebody came and stole a dingo. It's a walk behind bulldozer basically. And so we've had our share of issues with equipment and that type of thing. And, but we try to distribute, hand tools we buy and distribute to people to hold on to, chainsaws, weed eaters, that type of thing. Our biggest battle, like I said, is right here, honeysuckle. This is a big piece of honeysuckle. This looks like a tree. It's not. It's supposed to be a little weed. It was invasive. There's a history of it, but some of our trail system, Hodge currently, the stuff is so thick you can hardly walk through it. To build a section that's a couple 100 yards long could take us a couple work days just to get through it, depending on how thick it is. And then we have to go back through and trim it. We try to cut it and put some Tordon on it to help kill it because it goes through the root systems. And so we have that type of thing where you got to keep all the chemicals around for it. We actually have a few other alliances in town. There's I think it's a Heartland Alliance that they actually, what they do is eradicate honeysuckle. And so we get, with the trail building and stuff, we actually have brought them in. We can get into it. They have volunteers that come out and make hundreds at a time. They'll come out with 100 people or something, and they'll go through and cut and treat as well. And so we've got several other alliances for trail systems. I mean, the mountain biking is the core of it, I guess, that drives it. But we've got trail runners and trail runners volunteer in groups and hikers that come out, and then you got a lot of people that just discover trails one day and they come out like, hey, especially with COVID, you've probably seen it, Fred, haven't you?
Oh yeah,
all the families,
everybody was getting out. It's crazy. It's good, crazy good. That was one of the upsides of COVID, right? As people got outside, got their bikes out, started enjoying the trails, that kind of thing.
And I didn't even know them. That's
right. Like, who are you? Welcome. I'm glad you're here. No, we really want people to enjoy the trail systems. I think it ties into spirituality adventures, because I think when you connect with nature and you get out and you can be solo and meditate and get your mind kind of freed. On the other end, you can get out and just be with a group and build great community. Some of my closest friends are people that I do outdoor stuff with, especially mountain biking and trails and all that.
Most of the crews that work together have all become friends or were friends a lot of it's just people that showed up at a work day, and a lot of all the camaraderie is developed from that. And when you build a piece of trail and then you go ride it or hike it or run it, it becomes a piece of you. You're like, I built that. And so you really, you get some ownership in it. So it really builds you're right, it's a total spiritual thing, or a piece of it. I go out and trim trails in the summers and things whining and humming and got all the protective gear. But
yeah, I want to say a big thank you to all the guys that work on the trails and all the gals.
Definitely.
Because I enjoy them and I don't work on them that much. And yeah, Ben, I'm not preaching all weekend now, so I need to come out and start helping you.
I've got weed eaters.
But let's close with sharing with people how. So some people are out here hearing this for the first time. They can come out and enjoy them.
Right.
But some people may want to be volunteers and be on a work crew. Some people may want to give donations, which are pertinent. So tell them how they can do that.
So if you go, since I don't have the URL memorized, I would do Urban Trail Co. If you Google Urban Trail Co., you'll find it in Facebook pages. We have a Urban Trail Co. Facebook page. Also have earthriders.com. Like I said, Earthriders is a mountain bike club, but it'll get you directed into the right thing. Most of the trail systems also have pages. So if you live by Wyandotte County here, they've got a trail page. Hodge Park, Smithville, they all have trail pages. So another way to connect is through there. But Urban Trail Co. is actually going to get you all of the information that you need. It's going to show you where the trails are at. It'll show you the distance on it. It'll show you the status of the current trail condition. Tells you how to donate. Tells you how to volunteer. Sign up. We usually have Google groups for most trails, and when we send out emails on work days and such. And
awesome.
So
perfect. Thanks, Ben.
Well, thanks
for coming
Fred.
out. Thank you all for joining in, and share this video with people. Share the trails. Come out, enjoy them, work on them, donate, and we appreciate it. Have a great spring. Have a great day.